Good morning. It's my immense pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of School of Life Sciences, B.S. Abdul Rahman, Crescent Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai, and also on behalf of Five Star Emergency Management and Research Center for the Golden Hour Awareness Program. All around the world, acutely ill and injured people seek care every day. Frontline providers manage children and adults with medical, surgical emergencies, including injuries and infections, heart attacks and strokes, asthma, and acute complications of pregnancy. This Golden Hour Awareness Program provides a foundation to all about Golden Hour. All parts of this training are free, including registration and a certificate of completion. The golden hour is the first 60 minutes following any injury or trauma. Prompt medical attention during this period can save one's life. This period is very critical as the chances of survival depend on this window period. The golden hour is not just for traumatic situations such as accidents or injuries. The current COVID 19 pandemic situation is affecting the whole world and also our nation very badly. We are still in the golden hour, meaning at this point where the disease can still be controlled and cured. The need of the hour is to break the chain of virus infection so that its spread can be stopped. The current awareness program will provide awareness about recognizing emergency, the importance of golden hour, do's and don'ts while responding to an emergency. I hope this program will be useful to all of you. Thank you.
விபத்து, திடீர் உடல் நலக்குறைவு, இயற்கை பேரிடர், இதனால நாம யார் வேணா எப்ப வேணா பாதிக்கப்படலாம். அவசர காலத்துல எல்லாருக்குமே மருத்துவ உதவி தேவைப்படுது. ஆபத்தான நிலையில கஷ்டப்படுறவங்களுக்கு முதலுதவி பல நேரங்கள்ல தாமதமாகவே கிடைக்குது. அதுவும் சரியா கிடைக்குதான்னு நம்மளால சொல்ல முடியல. பாதிக்கப்பட்டவங்களுக்கு உடனே முதலுதவி சிகிச்சை கிடைச்சா அவங்களோட உயிரை காப்பாத்தின மன நிம்மதி நம்ம எல்லாருக்குமே இருக்கும். ஆனா நம்மள எத்தனை பேருக்கு முறையான முதலுதவி தெரியும்? கேள்விக்குறிதான் இல்லையா? இந்த அவசியத்தை உணர்ந்து 5 ஸ்டார் எமர்ஜென்சி மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் அண்ட் ரிசர்ச் சென்டர் முதலுதவி பற்றிய பயிற்சிகளையும் பாடங்களையும் செயல்முறை வடிவில் உலகத்தரத்துல நடத்தி வராங்க. அவசரகால நிலைய முறையா கையாளக்கூடிய முதலுதவி சிகிச்சைய நாம எல்லாரும் தெரிஞ்சுக்க வேண்டியது நம்மளோட கடமை. ஆபத்துல இருக்கிறவங்கள காப்பாத்தின மன நிறைவோடு வாழ 5 ஸ்டார் எமர்ஜென்சி மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் அண்ட் ரிசர்ச் சென்டர் நடத்துற முதலுதவி பயிற்சிகளில் சேர்ந்து பயனடைவோம். மனித நேயம் காப்போம். மேலும் விவரங்களுக்கு எங்கள் வெப்சைட் www.5staremrc.com அல்லது info@5staremrc.com. Call 9626 478 478.
Good morning, everyone. We are delighted here to welcome you all for this Golden Hour Concept Orientation Program for today. So we are going to discuss about what is emergency, how to recognize an emergency, and what are the common emergencies that we encounter in a day-to-day life, and how to provide first aid in those situations. And we are going to see some basic skills demonstration on choking management, bleeding control, and cardiopulmonary resuscitation. So as I told you, these are the objectives of today's session. First of all, what is an emergency? Emergency is an occurrence of any sudden events that poses threat to life, health, property, and or order of life. So any acute life threatening event can be termed as emergency, which portends threat to all these things. And in any emergency, the very important thing that we have to remember is the first 1 hour. That is nothing but the golden hour. The first 60 minutes from the time of occurrence of any event, any injury or any illness or any emergency is very critical. It is proposed by R. Adams Cowley that from the event occurrence of any event, the golden hour starts. And in trauma, we say the first 10 minutes is of prime importance, and we can term it as the platinum 10 minutes. So today in this session, we are going to emphasize the importance of this golden hour concept. As I told you, the importance of golden hour is to ensure the quality first aid and the medical attention during the golden hour that will help anyone to save life, to increase the chances of survival of any victim, and reduces the chance of disability of a person, and it promotes speedy recovery, and it also reduces the time and money spent at hospital. So timely first aid in this golden hour will be very helpful to any victim to have all this advantage. So what is first aid? The first aid is nothing but an immediate and a temporary management of any victim or a patient of a sudden illness or injury while awaiting the arrival of medical aid. So you have to remember the 3 aims of first aid. First thing is to preserve life. Second thing is to promote speedy recovery, and third is prevent worsening of the condition. So preserve life. What do you mean by preserve life? ஒரு உயிரை காப்பாத்துறதுக்கு நீங்க உதவ முடியும் in this golden hour period. If somebody collapses, if somebody become unresponsive, அவங்களுக்கு pulse இல்ல, breathing இல்ல, so how you can save their life? And promote speedy recovery. So if you give timely first aid before the arrival of medical care கிடைக்கிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி நீங்க அவங்களுக்கு வந்து first aid கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா the recovery will be much more better, and the survival chances also will improve. And prevent worsening of condition. If patient is already suffering from an illness or injury, already patient க்கு உடம்பு முடியாம இருக்காங்க, is suffering from any illness or injury, so if you give a timely first aid, if you know what are the do's and don'ts in a first aid, you can prevent worsening of the condition also. So always remember the concept of first aid will be based on Pradham. So Pradham, Pradham means the initial steps that we will take when you are handling a first aid, when you are giving first aid for any victim. What is P? Always ensure ungaloda safety, protect oneself and the victim from danger. So your safety as well as the patient's safety in case of any danger. So when there is an emergency, you have to always ensure நீங்களும் சேஃபா இருக்கணும், உங்களோட victimum சேஃபா இருக்கறாங்களான்னு பாருங்க. Next is reassurance and comfort everyone at the scene. So what do you mean by reassurance? Patient will be anxious whenever they are in emergency, right? Patient வந்து ரொம்ப anxious-ஆ இருப்பாங்க. So நம்ம அவங்களுக்கு reassure பண்ணணும். So you have to tell them, நீங்க பயப்பட வேணாம், நம்ம ambulance call பண்ணியிருக்கோம். So they'll be there, they'll be here, and I will be here. So you can give them a reassurance and a comfort everyone at the scene. Third thing, A is assess the situation and condition of the victims. Instead of just staying in the scene, if you know how to assess the situation, if you know how to recognize the emergency, it will be helpful. Deal with life threats. D is for deal with life threats. Any emergency, you have to see if the patient is suffering from any life threatening problem. Like patient வந்து நார்மலாக இருக்காங்களா இல்லை அன்கான்ஷியஸாக இருக்காங்களா, ப்ரீதிங் ப்ராப்ளம் ஏதாவது இருக்கா, இல்லை சிவியர் ப்ளீடிங் ஏதாவது இருக்கா. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி எனி லைஃப் த்ரெட்னிங் ப்ராப்ளம் யூ வில் பி ஏபிள் டு ஐடென்டிஃபை, ஸோ யூ கேன் ஹெல்ப் வித் மெடிக்கல் எய்ட். So when you identify the life threat, you can help the victim with initial aid, that is by providing the first aid. And A, alert emergency response services if needed. This is very important thing. Whenever you are giving first aid, don't think that whatever care I am providing, that will be enough. In any emergency, you may require the patient to be transited to a hospital. ஸோ யூ நீட் டு கால் ஃபார் ஆம்புலன்ஸ். எப்போல்லாம் உங்களுக்கு உதவி தேவைப்படுதோ இல்லை உங்களுக்கு அந்த சுச்சுவேஷனில் என்ன பண்ணுறதுன்றது தெரியல இல்லை டவுட்டாக இருந்துச்சுனாலோ, இட்ஸ் பெட்டர் டு கால் ஃபார் ஹெல்ப். டோன்ட் டிலே ஆக்டிவேட்டிங் ஹெல்ப் இன் கேஸ் ஆஃப் அன் எமர்ஜென்சி, அண்ட் யூ ஷுட் நோ வென் டு கால் யுவர் ஆம்புலன்ஸ். அண்ட் மேனேஜ் த சீன் till the professional help arrives. If you know the proper first aid techniques, what to do and what should not be done, then you can be able to manage till the professional help arrives. As a first responder, who is first responder? The person who is at the scene, and he or she will be the first and vital link of good emergency response system of any society. So a first responder, they should be trained in first aid techniques. A first responder can be a non-medical person or a layman or a relative, okay, who knows how to give first aid in a particular emergency, and it can be performed with minimal resources. உங்ககிட்ட available sources வச்சு நீங்க பேஷண்ட்க்கு first aid கொடுக்கலாம் till the medical help arrives. So that person is be called as first responder. So always remember, there are few general principles of first aid. Do not panic. Emergency la பயப்படாதீங்க. Do not panic and make sure do no harm. If you know what to do, do it. If you don't know what to do, please call for help. Okay? Wisdom is not only knowing what to do, but also what not to do. So in this first aid program, in this golden hour concept, we are going to tell you the thing that what are the do's and don'ts. என்ன செய்யலாம், first aid எமர்ஜென்சியில் என்ன பண்ணலாம், என்னென்ன பண்ணக்கூடாது. Okay? If you are in doubt, you just call for medical help. Do no harm and initiate the chain of survival. The chain of survival is nothing but early access. Recognizing an emergency. Emergency recognize பண்றது and early access to the emergency medical system. நீங்கள் emergency கண்டுபிடிச்ச தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டீங்க, if you suspect an emergency, immediately you should call for help. Call for emergency response system. Okay? And next thing is, if the patient is unresponsive or the patient is pulseless or breathing, patient breathing இல்லை அந்த மாதிரி நினச்சிங்கன்னா, initial cardiopulmonary resuscitation உங்களுக்கு தெரியும்னா, you have to do it. Early CPR, what we say. And then if you have a defibrillator available, you can go for early defibrillation. And of course, if the ambulance arrives, ambulance வந்ததுக்கு அப்புறமா the patient will be immediately transported to the hospital by patient will be delivered to the advanced help. Next thing in first aid is the first aid kit. So what is first aid kit? The first aid kit is nothing but it should contain all the contents that may be required in an emergency. உங்களுக்கு எமர்ஜென்சியில் என்னென்ன காமனாக தேவைப்படுமோ அது எல்லாமே ஒரு பாக்ஸில் வச்சு you can maintain a first aid kit. And this first aid kit should be a sturdy container and it should be visible. பார்த்த உடனே தெரிகிற அளவுக்கு தெரிகிற இடத்துல it should be there. and accessible. ஈஸியாக எடுக்கக்கூடிய அளவுக்கு you have to keep the first aid kit. You have to place the first aid kit so that it will be visible and accessible. And always ensure that the first aid kit should be well stocked. ஸோ உங்களோட ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எய்ட் கிட்டில் என்னென்ன எக்யூப்மெண்ட்ஸ் உங்களுக்கு பேசிக் எக்யூப்மெண்ட்ஸ் தேவையோ அது எல்லாமே நம்ம வந்து வெல் ஸ்டாக்டாக வச்சுருக்கணும். ஸோ வாட் ஆர் த காமன் திங்ஸ் தட் யூ வில் ரெக்வயர் இன் அ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எய்ட் கிட் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, யூ ஷுட் ஹாவ் அ 2 pair of gloves. Always you have to ensure that you have a 2 pair of gloves. You should have face mask, you should have eye protective gear and gauze pad, bandages, scissor, securing tapes. Then patient, if you sometimes you may keep a thermometer, you may keep you can keep an emergency blanket or cold packs, okay, and antiseptic solutions. So all this thing can be placed, crepe bandage, all this thing can be placed. So whatever you may require in an emergency, that should be stocked in the first aid kit. And whenever you are using the first aid kit, நீங்கள் first aid kit யூஸ் பண்ணீங்க ஏதாவது ஒரு எமர்ஜென்சிக்கு அப்படின்னா, you should always ensure after the emergency also you have to make sure that you are replacing those items. நீங்கள் யூஸ் பண்ண ஐட்டம்ஸை திரும்ப ரீப்ளேஸ் பண்ணணும். Then only it will be available for your next use. Okay. And this first aid kit can be, it is a necessity in every home, every school, offices, or your occupational area or your workplace, and in every public places. Now we are going to look into few medical emergencies that we commonly encounter. What is a medical emergency? A medical emergency is an injury or an illness that is acute and poses an immediate risk to a person's life or a long-term health. The first medical emergency that we are going to see is a breathing problem. A breathing problem is mainly due to a problem in our respiratory passage or air passage. So it may be due to a respiratory condition that is causing a breathing difficulty. So breathing problem எப்படி identify பண்ணணும்? When the patient is having cough, when the patient is breathless, either the patient is breathing very too fast or too slow, or the patient is having a noisy breathing like a high pitched raspy sound of breathing, or the patient is exhausted. The patient looks so tired when the patient is trying hard to breathe. What are the first aid action? The most common breathing difficulty can be seen in asthmatic conditions. So what you are supposed to do, you have to make sure that the victim sit upright in a comfortable position. So whenever the patient is breathless, so you have to make sure that whatever comfortable position you have to give, most probably a sitting upright position, and then provide reassurance as I told you earlier, and ask whether he has already prescribed medication. Normally an asthma patient will carry their inhalers with them, so you can ask them whether they are having their inhaler in place. அவங்க கிட்ட மெடிசன் இருந்துச்சுன்னா you can give them the medication. Seek medical assistance at the earliest and call for the emergency medical help for moderate and severe cases. So whenever there is the patient is not feeling better, or the patient is not having their medications and the breathing difficulty is exaggerating, it is worsening more and more, it's better to call for emergency help. The next emergency that we are going to see is choking, that is foreign body airway obstruction. What is foreign body airway obstruction? That is any solid object, a foreign object, which gets lodged in the throat by blocking the windpipe. நம்மளோட ஏர் பேசேஜில் ஏதாவது ஃபாரின் ஆப்ஜெக்ட் போயிட்டு பிளாக் பண்ணிடுச்சுன்னா that we call it as a choking. How to recognize choking? So normally when a person is choking, the person will show a universal choking sign. That is, the patient will hold the neck using both their hands. That means because their airway is totally obstructed, they were unable to breathe and they are unable to talk, they are unable to cough. So the patient will have silent cough, and slowly the airway is obstructed. So what will happen? There will be no oxygen. So the patient's skin, lips and nails will be turning blue, and considerably the patient will collapse. Loss of consciousness. So this is a dire emergency. What you are supposed to do? If you recognize a choking victim, you have to call for emergency medical help. You have to stand behind the victim and perform the abdominal thrust and watch for changes in any victim. So after performing abdominal thrust, you have to see whether the object is expelled out or not. If the patient becomes unresponsive, then you need to start the chest compressions immediately. So how to do abdominal thrust or a Heimlich maneuver? So you are going to place your closed fist against the abdomen just above the navel, umbilicus ku mela, xiphisternum ku keela. You are going to place your fist, grasping it with the other hand, and you are going to give a forceful inward and a upward thrust. That's for abdominal thrust. There are some exceptions, like for a child we have to kneel down and we have to go into the, we have to lower down our height and then we are going to perform the abdominal thrust. But for a pregnant women or obese patients, we can't reach the abdomen, and for pregnant women, if we do abdominal thrust, there are more chances that you injure the fetus. So it's better to do a chest thrust. Chest thrust, pregnant patients ku, obese patients ku chest thrust kudukalam. Center of the chest, you can place your arm like this, closed fist, and then you can perform a chest thrust. For less than 1 year old, ஒரு வயசுக்குள்ள இருக்க குழந்தைங்களுக்கு, whenever you suspect a choking, so what you are supposed to do, if the child is conscious, lift the baby in your arm, உங்க கையில எடுத்து குழந்தையை தூக்கிக்கோங்க. குழந்தையை இந்த மாதிரி turn the child like this, and then you are going to perform 5 sharp back blows. And after giving 5 sharp back blows, normally நம்மளோட shoulder blades க்கு நடுவுல we have to give forceful back blows. After that you have to turn the baby, and then you are going to give 5 chest thrust in the center of the chest. Okay, so we are going to see a demonstration about the choking management right now. Our rescuers here are going to demonstrate you on how to relieve adult choking. So if the person is having showing a universal choking sign, that is by holding the neck using the both hands, and is struggling to breath like this, so the rescuer comes and introduce himself, and he is going to tell that I am here to help you, and ask the patient to spread their feet so that the rescuer is going to place the one feet in between them so that he can support the patient if the person collapses. And then he is feeling for the umbilicus, navel. Once you feel for the umbilicus, you are going to keep your closed fist of your one hand like this on top of the, just above the umbilicus, okay, and use the other hand to grasp, and by this you are going to give forceful abdominal thrust by giving an inward and a upward thrust. So inward and a upward thrust. So you are going to continue this maneuver. This is abdominal thrust or a Heimlich maneuver, which can be continued till the object expels out or the patient becomes unresponsive. If the patient becomes unresponsive, you need to initiate CPR, which we will be demonstrating you in the later session. Next, coming to epistaxis. Epistaxis is a nosebleed. Patient will have nosebleed when there is an injury to the nose, or when the patient is continuously pricking or blowing or sneezing, or the patient is having a hypertension emergencies, or due to a heat exhaustion, due to severe heat emergency. What is the first aid for a nosebleed? So you have to give reassurance to the patient. You have to keep the patient sitting upward and leaning forward, and you are going to apply pressure on the soft part of the nose. So you are going to give a gentle pressure on the nose for around 5 to 10 minutes, and while providing this, you are going to ask the patient to breathe through their mouth. If the patient is still bleeding, you have to immediately call for emergency medical help. Right now, we are going to see a demonstration on how to handle an epistaxis victim. So the person is having a severe nosebleed. So he is holding his head in upward direction, which is wrong. So as a rescuer, you should know that you have to keep the patient in a leaning forward position. So you have to ask the person to lean forward, and you are going to pinch the nose using a gauze pad, the soft part of the nose, for around 5 to 10 minutes. And you are going to ask the person to breathe through their mouth. Stay with the victim and see if the bleeding stops. If the bleeding is not getting stopped, you have to call for emergency help right away. Next emergency is stroke. What is stroke? Stroke is nothing but a cerebrovascular accident. The brain is supplied by blood vessels, and if any emergency, like if there is a clot that blocks these blood vessels, or due to a hypertension, due to increased blood pressure, or aneurysm rupture, when there is a rupture to these blood vessels, the patient will have bleeding. So either it can be due to a clot or a thrombus enlargement in the blood vessel, or it may be due to a bleeding. So what happens when this blood vessel is blocked or gets ruptured? The blood vessel block ஆயிடுச்சுனாலோ இல்லனா வந்து rupture ஆகி patient starts bleeding நாலோ, what will happen to the brain cells? The blood supply பண்ணக்கூடிய brain cells க்கு போதுமான blood-ஓ oxygen-ஓ கிடைக்காது. So the patient will develop symptoms of paralysis. So the patient will show signs of paralysis. As I told you, it is mainly due to a block of the cerebral vessels, blood vessels, or it may be due to a rupture of the arteries. How to recognize a stroke? If the patient is having a paralysis, generally the patient will have a sign of numbness or weakness on one side of the body, especially to their face, arm or leg. The patient will have sudden confusion, and they will have trouble in speaking or understanding. The patient will have visionary problems, like they are unable to see, or they are having double visions. The patient also will have sudden trouble in walking, dizziness, loss of balance or coordination, and there will be a severe headache with no known cause. If you recognize a stroke, call for emergency medical help right away. Don't delay medical transport. The golden hour plays a vital role here. So you have to take the patient to a hospital with a neurology facility available. Adopt a position of comfort, taking care that the airway is not obstructed while transporting these victims. If the patient is unresponsive, place them in a recovery position or a left lateral position. The next emergency is heart attack. So heart attack is Our heart is a muscular organ, and this muscle is supplied by an artery named coronary artery. When there is a blockage of the blood supply to this coronary artery due to a fat deposition, that is atherosclerotic plaque. So what will happen? This myocardium muscle, உங்களோட myocardium muscle க்கு போதுமான blood supply கிடைக்காது because this artery is blocked. So what will happen? This myocardial muscle will get damaged. That will lead to a condition called heart attack. So what are the risk factors? Who are more prone to have an heart attack? The patient who are having a family history of having an acute coronary syndrome, that is heart attack. Then sedentary lifestyle, patient is not doing any exercise, patient is having a sedentary lifestyle, smoking or alcoholic, the patient is suffering from a high blood pressure or a diabetes problem, and high cholesterol. So all these patients will be at more risk of having a heart attack. How to recognize a heart attack? Generally, a heart attack patient will complain of chest pain. Usually, this chest pain will be in the center of the chest, what we call it as retrosternal chest pain. Center of the chest la pain irukum, and in the pain pathingana pressure in the chest, it will be like a patient, somebody is sitting on the chest, or complete chest discomfort, or somebody squeezing the chest, and then the pain will be radiating, and pain when the center of the chest la start aayi, it will be radiating. So generally it will be radiating to the upper body like arm, neck, jaw and back. Or sometimes you can see in some patients, sila patients la, adhaadu diabetes patients, especially female patients and elderly people who are more than 65 years old, they are more prone to have the lower chest, that is the patient will be having a epigastric pain, adhaadu the patient will be having a pain in the upper abdomen, because most of the time the heart ude inferior part பாதிக்கப்படும். So adanal they will be having a epigastric pain. So even a chest pain and a epigastric pain, you should not ignore it lightly. So you have to always think or suspect that it may be a heart attack. And heart attack will be usually associated with profuse sweating. Patient will be also having breathing difficulty. Patient will be having nausea and vomiting sensation, and the patient will have giddiness. What is the first aid for an heart attack? You have to call emergency medical help. Don't delay calling for emergency medical help. Again, the golden hour plays a vital role. So you have to shift the patient early to the hospital, as early to the hospital, because the patient is suffering from a myocardial infarction. So if you transport the person early, what will happen? The patient gets the advanced medical help, and they can restore the perfusion to the myocardium. So call for emergency medical help right away if you suspect a heart attack. Make the person rest in a comfortable position. Don't exert the patient. Don't allow them to walk. Don't allow them to move around. Give them a complete rest and ensure complete rest, and no physical activity is allowed. Reassure the patient and wait for medical help. If the patient becomes unresponsive, you need to start CPR. What is CPR? We will be demonstrating you at the end of the session. Now coming to environmental emergencies. Environmental emergency are those emergencies which can be caused by any worsening of weather, terrain or unique atmospheric conditions such as high altitude or underwater. The first thing that we commonly encounter on today's scenario, will be a heat related emergencies. Due to increased temperature, what will happen? There will be a mild cramps. It can start with mild cramps. Later it can be developing into a heat exhaustion, and it will lead to a life-threatening emergency called heat stroke. If we don't recognize a heat-related emergency at the earlier stage, it may lead to a life-threatening emergency like heat stroke. The causes will be due to prolonged exposure to heat and humid conditions. Person who are working in hot environment, especially the laborers and those who are working in a hot environment, athletes, or they are doing excessive exercise in a hot environment, and due to heavy perspiration and less fluid intake, they are more prone to go into a heat related emergencies. What are the precautions? You have to take frequent breaks whenever you are in a heat related when there is a patient is exposed to heat. You have to make sure that the patient takes frequent breaks. You have to move on to a shady area and make sure you are rehydrating your body, that by drinking plenty of fluids and also eating properly, and wear appropriate clothing for the task and environment. If the patient develops into a heat cramps or heat exhaustion, you have to move them immediately to a shady area, and you have to make them lie down for some time, and you can keep their legs raised 12 inches off to the ground, so that the patient will have adequate circulation to the upper part of the body where the major organs are there, and you can sprinkle some water on top of them, and you can fan the patient. Once the patient feels comfortable or they are not having any vomiting sensation, you can give them fluids, oral fluids. If we don't recognize an heat cramp or a heat exhaustion at the earlier stage, the patient may develop into an emergency called heat stroke, where the patient neurological status, that is the brain, will be affected. So the patient will be starting having confusion and the patient will be having a elevated body temperature, having a high grade fever, and the patient will become unresponsive. You need to call for emergency medical help right away. Rest inside, ask the patient to rest, or move the patient to a shady area and make them lie down there, and cool the body by sponging or spraying with cold water and fanning as early as possible. If the patient is unresponsive and unable to take any oral fluid, it's better to call for emergency help right away. The next emergency will be snake bite. So snake bite, as you know, we have venomous snakes and non-venomous snakes in India, but most of the snake bites will be due to a non-poisonous snake, but we can't take a risk. In case of any doubt, if the patient encountered a snake bite, you should immediately call for emergency help. The most commonest poisonous snakes in India are cobra, krait, Russell viper, saw scale viper, and hump-nosed pit viper. Some of them are hemotoxic and some of them are neurotoxic. The hemotoxic will be affecting our blood cells so that the patient will have bleeding problems, and the neurotoxic venom will affect our nervous system. So the patient will have a signs of paralysis or breathing difficulty. So you have to see what is the symptom in any patient of a snake bite. Whether the patient is having paralysis of eyelid, patient will have ptosis, அதாவது patient தூங்குற மாதிரி இருக்கும், patient க்கு வந்து throat block ஆகுற மாதிரி இருக்கும், the patient will be not able to breathe properly due to the respiratory muscle paralysis. So you have to observe for these symptoms, or sometimes even the patient may develop respiratory arrest, and even the patient can die in few minutes. So the golden hour plays a vital role here. So whenever you recognize a snake bite, it's better to rush to a hospital at the earliest. So hemotoxic, as I told you, it affects the blood cells, so it will lead to bleeding, severe bleeding. So where in the bite area you can see blood bleeding, or the patient may have nose bleeding, the patient will have gum bleeding, or sometimes the patient may even have bleeding in their urine. That is due to an internal bleeding or a GI bleeding, and the patient can die due to this. So the first 1 hour is very critical. So you have to do a first aid and immediately rush to the hospital by calling for emergency medical help. What we can do in case of a snake bite? According to WHO, you always follow this right. Do it right. R for reassurance. Many of the time patient will be panic due to a snake bite. So we have to make sure that the patient is not anxious. So you have to tell them, please, we will be rushing to the hospital, so no need to worry, and I will be there with you all the time. Next thing is immobilize the part. So wherever the patient is having a snake bite, you have to treat it like a fractured limb. You have to make sure that the patient is not moving that particular part, and that particular part should be kept below the level of heart. And immediately get to hospital and tell the doctor about the symptoms that you observe, like whether the patient is having a symptom of a neurotoxic venom or a hemotoxic venom. Now coming to trauma emergency, the most commonest thing in a trauma emergency, trauma is mainly due to a physical injury or wound caused by external force or a violence. The most commonest thing that we encounter in any trauma emergency is the bleeding. So whenever you see any bleeding, people will be panicked, they don't know what to do. The bleeding may be internal or external. Internal bleeding we will not be able to see, so we can't control that bleeding in a pre-hospital setup, but external bleeding you can be able to see it and you will be able to control it. So instead of being panic, you have to act, because if the patient loses so much of blood, you are wasting the golden hour period. So the patient will be losing so much of blood, there will be so much of blood loss, and it will be very difficult to resuscitate the patient at their later stage. So how to do bleeding control? You have to apply pressure with a clean cloth or sterile dressing pad. If the bleeding is more, apply more pads without removing the old pad. Elevate the wounded extremity if there is no fracture. If the patient is still bleeding, you have to elevate the wounded extremity if the patient is not having any pain. And do not give orally anything to drink or eat, because if the patient loses so much of blood, the patient can collapse anytime. So make sure that you don't give anything orally to drink or eat. So we are going to see the bleeding management steps demonstrated by our rescuers here. So what they are going to do is they are going to show you the step-by-step approach of how to do a bleeding control. First thing, if the person is having any bleeding at a particular site, identify the site and just direct pressure, apply direct pressure. So wherever the patient is bleeding, you have to apply a direct pressure using a gauze pad, or if you are not available with a gauze pad, you need to use a clean cloth to apply pressure. And after applying pressure, you should not remove the first gauze, even though it is soaked with blood. You can add more and more gauze on top of it and give more and more pressure for few more minutes. If the bleeding is not controlled, then you have to elevate the extremity, and also you can put a pressure bandage. So you can wrap the arm using a pressure bandage to maintain the gauze pad in place. and also to give a constant pressure in the bleeding site. Give a pressure bandage, use a pressure bandage to apply pressure onto the wound. If you are not available with a roller gauze like this, you can use a cloth to wrap around, kerchief, or any available material to control the bleeding. After that, you will have to tie a knot to secure the bandage in place. Always make sure that the knot should be in the opposite direction, away from the wound. And you can elevate if the patient is bleeding further. If the patient is having any kind of amputation, or the patient is bleeding severely due to a punctured artery, so then you can apply a constricting bandage just above the bleeding site. But make sure it should not be too tight to block the blood supply. You have to make sure that you can slip one finger beneath it. Just above the wound, you can tie a tight constricting bandage like this, and even you can place a stick and you can apply a gentle pressure by rolling the stick or something. If you are not available with it, use the stick or pen to give a constant pressure by rolling the pen, and make sure you are securing it in place. And after some time, once the bleeding is controlled, you can release it. We have already seen about nose bleeding and ear bleeding. Always make sure whenever there is a bleeding, apply direct pressure if you are able to see the bleeding. In nose bleeding, we will have to pinch the nose and lean forward and ask the patient to breathe from the mouth. And if it's a ear bleeding, you have to apply clean cloth on the external part of the ear and just press gently. And never plug the ear. Do not attempt to remove anything from nose or ear. If you see any object which is impaled in nose or ear, don't attempt to remove anything. Immediately call for medical help. Now coming to a patient who is unresponsive. If the patient is unresponsive, what you are supposed to do? You have to shake and shout after ensuring that the scene is safe. So first thing, you have to look whether the victim is in danger, and after checking for scene safety, you can go near to the victim and you can tap the shoulders and shout loudly, "Sir, are you okay? Are you okay?" Or ask the person, "Sir, kanna thorandu parunga, na pesradhu kekkuda?" So you can say something like this and see whether the patient is responsive or not. After checking response, you have to scan the chest. Just look towards the chest and see whether the person is breathing or not. Normally, when the person breathes, what will happen? The chest will rise and fall. So you will have to watch for chest rise and fall. And if you are in out of hospital scenario, if you are not in the hospital setup, you should immediately call for help, because the patient is unresponsive. The patient is in a condition called cardiac arrest. There are more chances that his or her heart stopped completely. So what you are supposed to do is initiate your cardiopulmonary resuscitation, and before that you have to call for emergency medical help without any delay. And if you are available with AED, AED is nothing but a machine which will deliver shock to any victim who is unresponsive. If it is available at the scene, so we can use the AED. So call for help. If no one is there, you have to do it alone. You have to go yourself and call. And always make the person lie on his back whenever you are doing this. So first thing, we are going to give a demonstration. We are going to show a demonstration on how to approach an unresponsive victim. If the person suddenly collapses, you have to make sure that this area is safe for you as well as for the victim. And also, if you have a first aid kit available, wear appropriate personal protective equipment like gloves, mask, okay, and go near to the victim and check for patient responsiveness. If the person is not responsive, call for help right away and ask for AED. Then scan the chest for 5 to 10 seconds. If you don't observe any normal breathing, immediately start CPR. CPR is nothing but cardiopulmonary resuscitation. This patient is having a complete stoppage of heart as well as breathing. So what you are supposed to do is, you are trying to restore the normal function of the heart and the lungs by providing chest compressions and rescue breathing. In this current COVID pandemic situation, rescue breathing is little difficult when you are in a pre-hospital scenario. If you are available with a breathing apparatus or a barrier device, you can attempt breathing. If you are not available with any of this, it's better to do hands only CPR. That means you skip the ventilation part and do only compressions at a rate of 100 to 120 compressions per minute. So start chest compressions by keeping your hands on the center of the chest and by giving compressions at a rate of 100 to 120 per minute, and the depth should be at least 2 to 2.4 inches, that is around 5 to 6 centimeter. If you are coordinating it with compressions and ventilation, then the ratio will be 30 compressions followed by 2 ventilations. And this 2 ventilations will be given within 5 to 10 seconds. And if you are not able to give breaths, just keep giving compressions alone. Do not interrupt compressions for more than 10 seconds. After giving compressions, if you are going to give breaths, you need to open the patient airway by doing a head tilt, chin lift maneuver. And if you suspect a spine injury, you need to just lift the jawbone alone by using a jaw thrust maneuver so that you don't move the neck. And deliver breath over 1 second. So what you have to do, make sure that you maintain an open airway by doing a head tilt, chin lift. Perform a head tilt, chin lift by placing one hand on the forehead and 2 fingers on the chin, and pinch the nose shut. Keep your mouth wide open and close the patient's mouth and you are going to give rescue breath. You will only attempt this when you are available with barrier devices or if you are available with bag wall mask. Do not attempt if you are not available with any of this. Again, we will just review through the steps of CPR. Initially, check for scene safety, shake and shout, scan the chest and look whether the patient is breathing normally or not, and immediately activate help by calling out for emergency medical services. You don't have to check for pulse, that's mainly for healthcare providers. But if you think the patient is unresponsive and the patient is not breathing normally, you can start the chest compressions, followed by 30 compressions, followed by 2 breaths. And you can check pulse every 2 minutes. Thank you for your time. We hope we have given a orientation of golden hour and its concept. We would like to hear from you if you have any queries or doubts. We will be having a detailed program on coming Thursday for 3 hours. So if you are interested, you can register yourself for that program. Thank you so much. Contact us for more information. Thank you.
விபத்து, திடீர் உடல் நலக்குறைவு, இயற்கை பேரிடர், இதனால நாம யார் வேணா எப்ப வேணா பாதிக்கப்படலாம். அவசர காலத்துல எல்லாருக்குமே மருத்துவ உதவி தேவைப்படுது. ஆபத்தான நிலையில கஷ்டப்படுறவங்களுக்கு முதலுதவி பல நேரங்கள்ல தாமதமாகவே கிடைக்குது. அதுவும் சரியா கிடைக்குதான்னு நம்மளால சொல்ல முடியல. பாதிக்கப்பட்டவங்களுக்கு உடனே முதலுதவி சிகிச்சை கிடைச்சா அவங்களோட உயிரை காப்பாத்தின மன நிம்மதி நம்ம எல்லாருக்குமே இருக்கும். ஆனா நம்மள எத்தனை பேருக்கு முறையான முதலுதவி தெரியும்? கேள்விக்குறிதான் இல்லையா? இந்த அவசியத்தை உணர்ந்து 5 ஸ்டார் எமர்ஜென்சி மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் அண்ட் ரிசர்ச் சென்டர் முதலுதவி பற்றிய பயிற்சிகளையும் பாடங்களையும் செயல்முறை வடிவில் உலகத்தரத்துல நடத்தி வராங்க. அவசரகால நிலைய முறையா கையாளக்கூடிய முதலுதவி சிகிச்சைய நாம எல்லாரும் தெரிஞ்சுக்க வேண்டியது நம்மளோட கடமை. ஆபத்துல இருக்கிறவங்கள காப்பாத்தின மன நிறைவோடு வாழ 5 ஸ்டார் எமர்ஜென்சி மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் அண்ட் ரிசர்ச் சென்டர் நடத்துற முதலுதவி பயிற்சிகளில் சேர்ந்து பயனடைவோம். மனித நேயம் காப்போம். மேலும் விவரங்களுக்கு எங்கள் வெப்சைட் www.5staremrc.com அல்லது info@5staremrc.com. Call 9626 478 478.